The Sister Wives universe has been rocked time and time again by confessions, feuds, and family fractures, but nothing has prepared fans for Mykelti Brown's latest revelation. In a moment that left viewers stunned, Mykelti finally went scorched earth on her father, Kody Brown, tearing down the carefully guarded image he has clung to for years. For so long, she has chosen measured words, navigating loyalty to both parents while keeping her criticisms subdued, but now the gloves are off. Mykelti's fiery takedown exposes the raw truth of her father's bad behavior, and the fallout has ignited a frenzy of fan reactions unlike anything the Sister Wives world has ever seen. The Brown family of Sister Wives has been no stranger to controversy, but the latest revelation has sent shockwaves through the fandom like never before. Mykelti Brown, the outspoken daughter of Kody Brown and Christine Brown, has always walked a fine line when it comes to speaking about her father. Times she has defended him, at other times she has skirted around his most controversial actions, but now the dam has broken. In a stunning and emotional turn, Mykelti has gone public with a searing account of her father's darkest behavior, and the fallout is leaving fans utterly speechless. The moment felt like a long time coming. Fans have watched for years as the cracks in the Brown family widened, with Christine, Janelle, and Mary eventually stepping away from Kody, leaving him with only Robin. Through it all, the children have often tried to stay neutral, torn between love for their father and support for their mothers. Mykelti, however, has always been particularly fascinating because she straddles a complicated position within the family. As Christine's daughter, she experienced firsthand the years of neglect and favoritism that tore her mother apart. Yet she also maintained ties with Robin and even found herself defending her father at times. To see her finally speak openly and scorchingly about Kody's behavior represents a seismic shift, not just in her personal story but in the broader narrative of Sister Wives. What makes Mykelti's revelations so powerful is not only the content but the timing. Over the past few seasons, fans have seen Kody unravel in front of the cameras, lashing out at his wives, alienating his children, and clinging desperately to his relationship with Robin as the rest of the family slipped away. Viewers have grown increasingly critical of him, accusing him of selfishness, manipulation, and a lack of accountability. Still, hearing it from one of his children hits differently. Mykelti is not just a cast member. She is someone who grew up under his roof, who lived through the choices he made, and who has a unique perspective on the emotional fallout of his decisions. Her words carry a weight that no fan theory or outside commentary ever could. According to Mykelti, Kody's darkest behavior was not just his favoritism or neglect but the way he used control and emotional manipulation to bend the family to his will. She described moments that left fans gasping, moments where her father's temper or stubbornness created a household atmosphere of fear rather than love. While the show has always portrayed Kody as a man struggling to balance many relationships, Mykelti peeled back the curtain to reveal a much harsher reality. Behind closed doors, she explained, the imbalance between wives was not an accident but a deliberate choice, one that left Christine and the children feeling abandoned and undervalued. For years, Mykelti stayed quiet out of respect for her family, but as she put it, silence is no longer an option when the truth needs to be told. Fans were stunned not just by the substance of her revelations but by the raw emotion with which she delivered them. Mykelti has always been one of the more vibrant and outspoken of the Brown children, but this time her words carried a sharpness that even longtime viewers had never seen. She spoke with the fire of someone who had carried years of pain and frustration, finally letting it erupt in a way that could not be ignored. Social media exploded almost immediately, with fans flooding platforms with reactions. Some expressed heartbreak at hearing what the children endured, while others admitted to a grim satisfaction at seeing Kody finally held accountable by one of his own. The significance of this moment cannot be overstated. For years, Kody has dismissed criticism from his wives and fans as biased, claiming that he was misunderstood or unfairly judged. He has insisted that his choices were about survival, about doing what was necessary for the family's future. But when the criticism comes from a daughter, when the condemnation comes from inside his own bloodline, the defense crumbles. Mykelti's words cannot easily be brushed aside as bitterness or resentment. They are rooted in lived experience, and they strike at the heart of Cody's carefully curated image. Even more telling is the way Mykelti framed her revelations. She did not simply recount specific incidents, she painted a picture of a man whose behavior created long-lasting scars. She spoke about the way her mother Christine suffered, the way children felt the sting of being less important, and the way Robin's elevation to the center of the family left everyone else in the shadows. She made clear that Cody's actions were not isolated but part of a pattern, a deliberate strategy of prioritizing one relationship at the expense of all others. This is the darkest behavior she has finally dared to expose, not just the occasional outburst but a sustained system of favoritism and control that fractured a once large family into pieces. For fans, the emotional weight of her revelations is compounded by the knowledge that they have watched this play out for years without fully understanding its impact. While the show gave glimpses of the tension, it never captured the depth of the pain felt by the children. Mykelti's words give voice to that unseen suffering, confirming what many suspected but could never prove. It is one thing to see Christine cry on camera about her loneliness. It is another to hear her daughter explain how that loneliness was the result of her father's deliberate choices. The effect is devastating, and it has left fans both heartbroken and furious. The reactions online have been intense. Longtime critics of Cody feel vindicated, pointing to Mykelti's confession as proof that their years of accusations were not exaggerated. Others are calling for the network to address the revelations directly, arguing that sister wives can no longer gloss over the truth. There are also those who worry about the toll on Mykelti herself, knowing that speaking out against her father could strain her relationship with him forever. Yet for all the risks, there is a sense that her courage has opened the door for other Brown children to follow suit. If Mykelti can speak her truth, perhaps others will feel empowered to do the same, shedding even more light on the reality of life inside the Brown household. The most dramatic aspect of this revelation is the way it reshapes the legacy of the show. For over a decade, Sister Wives has sold itself as a look at the challenges and joys of polygamous life. At times, it has presented itself as a story of love, faith, and unity. But Mykelti's words cut through the narrative to reveal a darker reality. The show was not simply documenting a family trying to live differently, it was documenting the fallout of a patriarch whose behavior created division, pain, and emotional scars. This reframing changes the way fans view the entire series, making past episodes feel less like quirky drama and more like evidence of dysfunction hiding in plain sight. As for Cody, his response, or lack thereof, will be crucial. Thus far, he has often doubled down when criticized, insisting that others are misrepresenting him. But how does one dismiss the words of a daughter? How does one explain away the testimony of someone who lived through the decisions he made? The pressure is mounting on Cody to address the revelations, and fans are watching closely to see if he will finally take responsibility or if he will retreat into the familiar posture of denial. Either way, his reputation has taken a blow that may be impossible to repair. For Mykelti, the decision to speak out marks a turning point in her journey. No longer content to play the role of cautious mediator, she has stepped into the spotlight as a truth-teller. Her courage has not only shifted the narrative of her family but has also given voice to countless fans who saw their own stories reflected in hers. Many have taken to social media to thank her for her honesty, to share their own experiences with controlling fathers or broken families, and to express solidarity with her pain. In this way, her revelation transcends the Brown household, becoming part of a larger conversation about family dynamics, favoritism, and emotional manipulation. The shockwaves from this bombshell are still rippling outward. Fans continue to dissect her words, to replay her statements, and to debate what they mean for the future of Sister Wives. Will the show confront these revelations head-on, or will it attempt to sidestep them in favor of lighter storylines? Will other children follow Mykelti's lead, sharing their own accounts of Cody's behavior? And most importantly, will this mark the beginning of a reckoning for Kody Brown, the patriarch whose decisions have defined the family for better and, as Mykelti has now made clear, for worse? One thing is certain, the truth can no longer be hidden. Mykelti Brown has exposed her father's darkest behavior, and fans are left speechless by the power of her words. The illusion of stability that Kody and Robyn tried to project has been shattered, and the raw reality of the family's dysfunction now lies bare for the world to see. This revelation is not just another twist in the saga of sister wives. It is a turning point, a moment when the silence was broken and the truth finally came to light. The Brown family has never been a stranger to controversy, but what just unfolded may be the most explosive development in the long and complicated history of sister wives. For years, fans have watched as Kody Brown's behavior drew criticism, speculation, and growing frustration from his wives and children. His exes have spoken out, his choices have been scrutinized, and his favoring of Robyn has become a repeated point of conflict. Yet one voice remained relatively cautious, avoiding the full force of confrontation that others were willing to unleash. That voice belonged to Mykelti Brown, daughter of Christine and Kody, who often walked a careful line of diplomacy when tensions flared. But now the wait is over. Mykelti has gone scorched earth, breaking her silence in the most dramatic way possible and exposing her father's darkest behavior with a candor that has left fans completely speechless. Her words didn't just scratch the surface. They cut deep into the core of who Kody Brown is and how he has handled his role as a father and husband. For so long, Kody crafted an image of himself as the patriarch of a large, complex family built on love, faith, and cooperation. The show's earliest seasons painted him as a man trying to manage the challenges of plural marriage, juggling the needs of 4 wives and 18 children. While cracks were visible even then, Kody maintained a narrative that kept the more sinister elements of his behavior hidden behind smiles, excuses, and grand speeches about family unity. But Mykelti's scorched earth revelations have pulled away the curtain, exposing truths that many suspected but few dared to voice. Fans who have followed the Browns from the very beginning were quick to notice that Mykelti's comments carried a weight unlike anything she had ever said before. The daughter who once defended her father, or at least refrained from outright condemning him, suddenly revealed the pent-up truth. And the truth was damning. Mykelti spoke of a pattern of behavior that went beyond the usual accusations of favoritism or neglect. She spoke of emotional manipulation, anger masked as leadership, and decisions that caused lasting damage not just to his wives but also to his children. For viewers who already questioned Kody's ability to truly love and care for his family, Mykelti's words felt like the confirmation they had been waiting for. The timing of her revelations could not be more critical. With the family already fractured beyond repair, Christine, Janelle, and Mary have left the plural marriage, and the remaining bonds are strained to the point of breaking. Mykelti's scorched earth statements added fuel to a fire that was already burning out of control. What made this moment even more shocking was how she detailed the toll of her father's behavior on her own life, revealing the impact of growing up under a man who often placed his pride and ego above the needs of his children. In describing her father's darker behavior, Mykelti gave fans an unfiltered look into the emotional scars left behind. As her words spread through the fandom, reactions poured in across social media. Some fans expressed heartbreak, noting that they always sensed something beneath Kody's controlling and dismissive tendencies but had hoped it wasn't as damaging as it appeared. Others were furious, blasting Kody for the years of denial and manipulation that seemed to have led to his family's complete collapse. But perhaps the most common reaction was sheer shock. Nobody expected Mykelti, often seen as more forgiving and patient, to be the one to finally drop the hammer on her father in such a devastating way. The Brown family has long captivated reality television audiences with their unconventional lifestyle, sprawling household, and the intricate dynamics of polygamy. Yet in the latest turn of events, the show's drama has taken on a new intensity, fueled not by the long-standing rivalries among the wives but by the bold and uncompromising words of one of Kody Brown's own children. Mykelti Brown, daughter of Cody and Christine, has delivered a brutal truth bomb that has left fans stunned, sparking chaos both online and within the sister wives community. For years, Cody has maintained a carefully curated image of himself as a devoted patriarch, a man trying to balance multiple relationships with love and fairness. But Mykelti's revelations have shattered that illusion, exposing the darker aspects of his behavior in ways that can no longer be ignored. What makes Mykelti's revelations so explosive is not simply the content of her words but the manner in which she delivered them. Over the years, fans have watched her navigate the often turbulent waters of her family life with poise and diplomacy, choosing her moments carefully when discussing her father in public. She has always been vocal enough to make her perspective known but restrained enough to maintain some semblance of loyalty or neutrality. That approach has changed dramatically. In her latest statements, Mykelti abandoned caution entirely, choosing instead to deliver a candid and unflinching account of the emotional and psychological impact of Cody's decisions on his family. For viewers who have followed the Browns' journey since the beginning of the show, Mykelti's words provide a sobering confirmation of suspicions long held in whispers. Cody's behavior, once largely filtered through the lens of television storytelling, is now illuminated by first-hand experience, the perspective of someone who grew up directly under his influence. Mykelti spoke with clarity and conviction about the favoritism, manipulation, and patterns of control that she witnessed throughout her childhood. Her account paints a picture of a father whose priorities often placed personal ego above the emotional needs of his children and the well-being of his wives. The reaction among fans has been immediate and intense. Social media platforms erupted with commentary, with viewers expressing a mixture of shock, validation, and outrage. Longtime critics of Cody have seized upon Mykelti's revelations as definitive proof of the behavior they had suspected for years. Others expressed deep sadness, grappling with the idea that the emotional toll on the children may have been far greater than the show has ever conveyed. Combination of raw honesty and the undeniable credibility of a daughter speaking about her father created a storm of conversation that shows no signs of abating. Chaos extends beyond mere fan reaction. Within the sister wives' narrative itself, Mykelti's statements challenge the carefully maintained hierarchy of the family. Cody and Robin, who have long positioned themselves as the central stabilizing force in the household, now face scrutiny from the very people whose lives they influence most profoundly. The perception of Cody as a commanding patriarch is undermined when confronted with the lived experiences of his children, especially a child who has chosen to speak out with such intensity. Mykelti's revelation